reporter with ABC 24. We're outside of Clark Tower on Poplar Avenue right now. The road's blocked off from at least Trues Parkway to White Station Road, and I'm going to turn the camera around just so you can see just how many Memphis police officers are out here. There's many in unmarked cars. There's fire department out here, as well as EMS responding to what was said to be a shooting on Memphis Police Department's Twitter and Facebook page, and what we now know, an MPD officer as well as an individual were shot in that incident that they responded to just after 12. Now, at the request of the DA Mulroy, TBI special agents have been requested to investigate the officer-involved shooting that happened here on Poplar Avenue at the Clark Tower. TBI will be in attendance later to make the scene, to provide any updates that are possible that's coming from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. We have reached out to TBI for a comment, but as we now know, TBI will be making this scene as quickly as possible so that they can provide an update as to what happened. Again, this is Zaria Oates, a reporter with ABC 24. If you can see down this way, they are blocking and redirecting. You go up the back road around and then take White Station down. You are able to just... All right, it should be back up. If you can see, this road looks like it's active, but up ahead at White Station Road, you can see that traffic is moving in the opposite direction. Traffic is not able to come down this road unless you find an alternative route. We were able to go behind some of those businesses, but as you can see, there's multiple businesses in between these blocked off roads. Even though they're not completely blocked off, it is prohibiting traffic from making their way into these areas. This Diamond Brokers, Tops Barbecue, Baskin Robbins, things like that are a little bit underflowed right now just because of the blocking of that traffic. Now I'm going to move back this way. As you can see, MPD has put up caution tape. You're unable to walk down, whether you need to go to the library, you need to go get some lunch or anything like that. You can't do that right now just because they have blocked off all of this area right here. I'm going to come back over this way. It seems that there's many officers over here by the Memphis Public Library on Poplar Avenue. If you can see up that way, I'm not super tech savvy, so I'm going to try to zoom in here for you. If you can see the Memphis Public Library, there's quite a few officers just standing in that doorway. As of what we know, a witness said that a witness that we spoke with said that there was an individual who seemed to be robbing some area in this strip of Poplar Avenue, and that's when Memphis Police Department made the scene and attempted to apprehend that suspect. Now, we do know that that suspect, or an individual on this street, is deceased in the area and was not actually transported to Regional 1 per the original MPD post on Twitter. Now I'm going to try to back up just a little bit more. You can see a little bit more traffic moving down this way. 1 second. And there's some MPD officers who are in the road here trying to divert traffic off this main road, off of Poplar, just to keep traffic flowing, but to keep them out of the way of this scene here. Now, MPD has instructed people that, you can walk by because this is a street, but you can't walk through that caution tape because it is an active scene right now. Now, there are still Memphis police officers as well as fire department arriving on the scene back behind me. If you can hear that noise back there. Now, we're not sure if there's anyone else involved in this scene as of right now, but as we told you, we have reached out to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations for a comment, and TBI should be on their way here as soon as possible. Now, we did arrive on the scene as quickly as possible, and this is all the information that we know right now, but we are waiting on a comment from TBI as well as the Memphis Police Department. I'm going to turn it around just so that you can see there's some officers walking back here. It doesn't seem to be a super heavily active situation right now, aside from all of these MPD officers. I mean, I can see at least about 15 in all directions. If you can see back over there, there's also some MPD officers closer to that Clark Tower building, and then there's also some on the other side behind these fire department trucks. They're kind of in the parking lot of the different buildings and businesses over here, making sure that traffic stays out of the area, stays out of this caution zone where all this caution tape is. Now, if you can actually see this caution tape that's close to me, it's coming around this little bank ATM thing right here, and it's going into the street. But up ahead over here near Trues Parkway, it's connected up until you get to the railroad track. So if you do need to walk to get to this bank specifically right here, this ATM, you are going to either have to go up this area here where these railroad tracks are. That's where they diverted me to walk up, and it's pretty icy because, as we know, we just had quite a few storms roll in to see what's going on with the situation. You are going to have to walk around the area, but again, they're asking people to stay as far away as possible. If you can see, there's even more ambulances and fire trucks in the area. They might be going to another scene, though. It looks like they turned the opposite direction. As we do know right now, we do have these 1, 2, 3 at least ambulances in the area, and at least 3 or 4 fire department vehicles as well. A lot of these MPD cars up here, if you can see that, I'm going to try to zoom in just a little bit, are unmarked vehicles, which has been a big deal recently with the different cases involving the Scorpion unit and things like that, which we do know are now deactivated. But again, these are those unmarked cars that a lot of people have been questioning if they should be allowed here in Memphis. I'm going to try to zoom back out now. My fingers are a little bit frozen. If you could bear with me for just a second. All right. And if I come back this way, it looks like there's quite a few MPD officers just kind of waiting to see what's going to be those next steps. They're just hanging out back here, trying to make sure that traffic stays as far away as possible. And we do have some innocent bystanders just trying to figure out what's going on. I had some people stop me on their way up here to kind of figure out what's been going on, what's going on in this area that they live in, that they can't kind of walk around and do everything that they would like to do on this afternoon. I'm going to keep showing you just a little bit of this area over here. And as we know, that police officer that was involved in this incident has been transported to Regional 1 in critical condition now. We do know that that individual is deceased on the scene, despite that original MPD tweet that said that both the individual and the Memphis police officer were transported to Regional 1. That first individual was not transported to Regional 1. They are deceased here on the scene on Poplar Avenue, somewhere in this Clark Tower area. I'm going to turn this back around, try to see a little bit more of what's going on here. It seems that these police officers that were at the public library over here are starting to come out, kind of lightening up the scene just a little bit. Some of those police officer lights that were on here, if you can see those 2 cars, those 2 white cars in the front, those lights are no longer on. Some of the other cars still are, but it seems like the situation is kind of calming down just a little bit. Both roads are still blocked off here at this intersection up here. You can see that. And if I can zoom in just a little bit, you can see that those lights are still active, so that intersection is still fairly busy. And up past that intersection, the next intersection up ahead, past the Whole Foods area near Belmont Grill up there, that intersection is still fully working. So if you need to go around, if you need to get over here past White Station Road, that's up here, if you know the area, you can go around and turn just before that Whole Foods up here on Poplar Avenue and go up and around, but that traffic is pretty
you can
busy.
take White Station and go up around Sanderlin, coming across Mendenhall.
Yeah, coming across Mendenhall, White Station area, all these roads are still open, but this main area between Truce and White Station on Poplar Avenue are completely blocked off by Memphis police officers. If you do need to get to any of these businesses, I'd say make sure you give yourself plenty of time and wait a little bit if you can, because they are still completely blocked off, even as the situation calms down just a little bit. As of right now, we're being informed that that officer that was transported to Regional 1 in critical condition is currently in extremely critical condition, which is, as you know, not something that we hear too often. We're not sure about the stability of the officer, but as we just told you, they are in extremely critical condition, and we'll keep monitoring that as much as we can. Now I'm going to show you back over here. It seems like there's a point person here at the Memphis Public Library, kind of walking in that front door. We're not sure if this is the exact place in which whatever happened, whatever actually happened, that altercation, if this is the exact place in which it happened. But as we told you, witnesses do know that this is something that was an active scene that MPD responded to. There were gunshots, there was a shooting involved in some capacity, and that officer was also injured in the event that happened here. All right, as you can see, there's another car. Oh, it seems to be another unmarked police car coming in through this area. As I said, this road is pretty blocked off, so only MPD officers and a select few cars have been able to make their way into this area. I'm trying to show you where they're kind of headed. It seems to be some kind of person involved in this specific situation as they're kind of making their way past all of the other Memphis police officer cars and unmarked vehicles on the street. They're now making their way into that parking lot over there, which is kind of a parking lot with a lot of people over there right now, just because that's probably the closest point in which you can get into the area where this scene is still active. It's just after that Whole Foods, but just before the Clark Towers, before the Memphis Public Library, if you're coming a little bit more west of Poplar Avenue. Again, this is a live look at the scene on Poplar Avenue in between Truce Parkway and White Station. As of right now, what we do know is that MPD made that initial post saying that they responded to an incident here in the Clark Towers area, that 5100 block of Poplar Avenue. And an officer was involved in an incident with an individual. That individual, initially MPD said that individual was being transported to Regional 1 in critical condition. Now we do know that that individual is deceased on the scene. We're not sure if they're still actively on the scene, but we haven't seen anyone be taken out of this area in any kind of appropriate way for a deceased person to be removed from the scene. And what we do know is that the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations is on their way out here. Their point person, Kelly McAllister, is on her way out here to, evaluate the scene and give us as much of an update as she can based on what Memphis Police Department knows and based on what has occurred here, as much as they can get. I'm not seeing any sky cam or anything like that they may be able to pull from, but as we know, this is a very high traffic area, and I mean, it's the middle of the day on a Thursday, but it's a very high traffic area, so diverting this traffic has been a little bit of a challenge for the officers over by Truce Parkway, just because it is a bit busier up there, and if you're coming from that way, you're typically headed down Poplar Avenue coming this direction. But for the people coming up White Station towards this Poplar intersection, it's been pretty easy going. Traffic is a little bit backed up just because you can't turn right from White Station onto Poplar, but you can turn in the opposite direction going down towards eastern Memphis, more east of Memphis. Again, it seems like some point people are working on this Memphis Public Library area. Another person has just walked into this crime scene area. I'm not sure what his role is yet, but he is walking towards that Memphis Public Library area. And as we do know, again, one person is deceased on the scene, and the officer is in that extremely critical condition. If you don't have our app, you can go ahead and download ABC24 in your app store, or head online and you can see this stream as well, just in case we do have any other information that comes from another source that I'm not able to provide you with. But as of right now, we do know that TBI should be making the scene as soon as possible. I'm going to continue to give you a look closer to this door if I can zoom in just a bit. People are headed back into that Memphis Public Library. We don't want to speculate anything that's going on here, but again, multiple officers making their way into the Memphis Public Library. If you could see that one on the right side of your screen at the Memphis Public Library, it seems like they have some items in their hand ducking under this caution tape that's in front of that front door as people make their way into the Memphis Public Library. We're not exactly sure if the person is inside of the library or if they're kind of using that as their meeting up location, but they have gone under that tape quite a few times to go into the front door of the Memphis Public Library here on Poplar Avenue. Zoom out just a little bit. And if you can see down this way, a couple more officers have made the scene. I'm going to try to count them out for y'all just so that you can see just how big of a scene this has been. Even though it's pretty quiet, there's quite a few officers out here. I count 3 on the left up there on Poplar Avenue by Truce Parkway, as well as 2 on the right behind that fire truck up on Truce Parkway, on Poplar Avenue, closer to Truce Parkway. And then we've got multiple ambulances up here, as well as a fire department truck. And then all of these Memphis police officers in both marked and unmarked cars parked up and down Poplar Avenue, both blocking off traffic and kind of off to the side. I'm going to try to zoom back out here. And you see this officer right here still blocking off traffic. Despite that caution tape that's up, they've still got multiple officers blocking off traffic here on Poplar Avenue. And on my way up here, I mean, I had to walk kind of from that Truce Parkway area where I initially parked up this road, but I couldn't get up this road because that caution tape there, so they directed me up past these train tracks over here to walk across, but it's still pretty icy from those ice storms that we did have. So I did have to drive around. Again, you can go up any of these back streets if you know the area, and then come up White Station Road if you do need to get to any of these businesses that are still actively working. I mean, you can see that there's multiple cars in each of these businesses parkway, so it doesn't seem that many of them have closed for any reason. So if you do need to get to any of these businesses that are open, feel free to make your way up those back roads. All right, and we'll have as much more information as we can up on our website, abc24.com. But for now, we're reporting live from Poplar Avenue in between Truth Parkway and White Station.